Frederick Young, who is the Managing Director for Global Education Management, has started his work life as a lecturer at Mid-Kent College in the business school, teaching higher education diploma, BA and professional courses. Since 1994, he has been attached with Global Education Management, first as its director and now as a managing director. Jem has collaboration with universities, especially in India, Thailand, and China. Over the last 10 years, Jem has worked with some of the world top hospitality schools. Ms. Su Young, Director Global Education Management, is an ex-hotelier. Ms. Su previously worked at Mandarin Oriental Singapore in customer service and HR. Su moved to London 17 years ago and set up a hotel recruitment and internship company. Ms. Su specializes in coaching and assisting international students to advance their career milestones within the hospitality industry in 4 different continents, including Asia, Australia, Europe, and North America. Ms. Sunita Kapoor, representative, Global Education Management, Indian representative, and has been associated with the company for the past 2 years. She works on the ground with students who are keen to go for the international internship overseas. Then prior to that, Ms. Sunita was working with the British High Commission in India for over 20 years, providing strategic advisory services to UK companies looking at investing in India. So we welcome you on board, all the panelists. And
thank you.
The Servo and the GEM work close together to place a student abroad, right? So what all is required for the international internship would be expressed by the experts, and would also like to inform you that the organization worked with us only in the entire Uttarakhand. So over to you, Mr. Frederick, for the virtual talk.
Thank you very much, Vipul. Thank you very much, students, for your patience. Vipul, have you got the PowerPoint slides?
Yes, I have. Right.
Yeah. So we can follow from the PowerPoint slides. Yeah, I think it's gradually loading up. So rather than, I think it's load up in the background. So I'll start, and then we can go to various slides. Okay. So I think students, thank you for your time and patience. So my name is Mr. Frederick Young. So I have today Miss Su Young and Madam Sunita Kapoor. We are going to do a presentation regarding the opportunities for you abroad, and also the benefits of going abroad on an industrial training. We'll be coordinating through the auspices of your school. So if you have any interest, you would get in contact with your school faculty members, and they will direct the interest to us, and we'll guide you through the processes then. So as part of your program, we understand that you have to do a period of industrial training. Here at GEM, which is short for Global Education Management, we have been arranging industrial training for a good 15 years. And we are focusing in the hospitality sector. For countries which we are involved with is very actively in France, which is of course a European country, the USA, the Middle East, UAE particularly, and the Maldives. And we also do have programs for more experienced alumni for Australia. These are the main destinations that we are involved with. For most of you that are studying on your diploma courses, we think that France program would be very suitable for you. So just some background, first of all, about global education management. We were established in 2004, and we've been involved with partnerships across the world. We've actually come to India. So I think if we go back to this slide, so this slide is basically a presentation that we had at the British High Commissioner's residence when we came with the Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And we signed an agreement with different partners, and we were spoken about in a conference in Delhi, but the Deputy Prime Minister mentioned our work in India. So from a point of view of knowing about India, knowing about sort of experiences, we are very well settled in the Indian market. Sunita has been helping us make those partnerships, and she'll be the main person to liaise with yourself and your school. If you have any questions, any documentation issues, any visa questions, she'll be able to be the first point of contact for you from our side of things with the school. So if we can move on to the next few slides, I'll crack on with the program details. So we can move on to the next slide, Vipul, as well. Okay, so here we are with the French program, which in conversations with your school, yeah, so that slide, Vipul, we need that slide back on the French slide. It was nicely there. It's the fourth slide. That's right, that's the fourth one. So that's great, great. So this slide would be very useful for you in terms of the key points for our French program, which is something that is available for you as diploma students. We've been working with France for over five plus years, and quite a few Indian students attend with us in the French industrial training. This is a specific program for hospitality students to go to France. It is a proper visa. It is an a internship visa. I think you're having a glitch there. But I'll carry on, Vipul, and I'll let you work on the glitch in the background, yeah? So this is a proper visa to go to France. It is a paid program. It gives you monthly a stipend of 660 euros, 660 euros a month. And we arrange accommodation and meals with the hospitality employers. And we do all the placements for you. There's no interviews. It's a program which gives you a very good understanding of French culture, French hospitality, as you would have known from your courses, that a lot of the hospitality curriculum is coming from original basis from France, particularly for the kitchen, for the cuisine area. It's very, very famous for that area of expertise. So training in a French establishment would give you a polish, would give you something special to stand out on your resume, on your CV. And it would also give you an experience of working in the real world in a very high standard. You would also develop an understanding of French language. basic communication skills would be polished. And it would also give you access to 26 countries in Europe. So that means that when you have your days off, when you have vacation, you can travel around in all the different European countries. We have students that have done their internship in France, that have gone for sightseeing in Holland, for example, Amsterdam, Germany, Italy, of course, throughout France as well. We have had those students do this. Our students are actively in France at this moment, so this is still ongoing, and we are hopeful that the French embassy will resume at the end of August. So there are flights every day to France in an air bubble. So this is an ongoing basis. I stress for you students that this is something without interviews. So we do not require you to present yourself for an interview with the French hospitality employer. And it's something that has been well established with Indian students. So we guide you through this process from placement to applying for the visa, to getting approval from the French Ministry of Labor. And on arrival as well, we guide you to getting to the host employer through traveling. And we give you support, ongoing support through pastoral care. If we go on to the next slide, I think we may got some examples of maybe hotels and placements. Yes, it's a very good one. So I don't know whether, Sue, you might want to chip in a little bit here about France as a country, you know, and maybe the geographical distancing and so on, you know, because we've had quite a few students from India go to France. Maybe you might want to talk a little bit about this. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Hi there, everyone. So, well, for me, I think the important thing when you go to France is actually the support from the host company. And of course, we maintain a very, very high standard of the placement throughout the whole France. But because you guys is going to travel for quite a far distance away from home, and most likely maybe you were probably just the first time to, you know, travel out of country to a European country. So there will be a lot of culture, you know, differences and understanding and adjustment that you need to adapt to. So when we look at the placements area in France, the first thing that comes to my mind, and our team, is whether or not this host company can give you a very good pastoral care support and the trainings, in-depth level of trainings as well. So the both are equally important. Now, so majority of our host company are either relais chateau type of hotels, so very much a boutique French traditional sort of hotels, or they can be also Michelin star, Michelin plate stand-alone restaurant. Many of them are actually quite owner-run, hence you can actually get the first hand of training directly from the owner and also from the team, of course. Now, placement area including housekeeping, F&B, restaurant, and also the kitchen. And in terms of the locations, we place students throughout the whole France, to be honest. And France is one of the, well, it's actually the biggest, the largest country in the European country. So they are actually borderlined with Switzerland, with Italy. They also border with Spain, as well as, you know, cross the English Channel towards the UK side. And hence, depending on the locations of the companies located, they all are a little bit influenced also by the neighboring country. So let's say a country that's very close to Geneva, close to Switzerland side, then, you know, the culture is more, you know, sort of integrated with the Swiss culture. If it's a hotel that or restaurant that's very close to Spain, like Barcelona side, with the south side, then of course, you know, even their food will have a bit of influence from Spanish food as well, not just 100% French. And again, if it's towards a German, they might even serve what they call sauerkraut, you know, very much a sour sort of vegetables that you only find in Germany, but then you can find it in your hotel that's in France. So it depends on where they're located. Now, most of the hotel, because we have a compulsory criteria that we want them to provide a complimentary accommodations for you. And as a result, a lot of hotels outside the city, so outside of Paris or outside the big city, they are able to fulfill our criteria. Now, of course, we have hotels in Paris. If you want to go to city, they are willing to take on interns, but then they will not be able to give you a staff accommodation. So when you come to our scheme, we will automatically place you into the area or the hotel that can give you free accommodations. So if you have a particular request, let's say you only want to be in Paris, then you need to let us know. Then, of course, consequently, you also have to be aware that the accommodation is not free of charge. Now, ideally, if I can give you a bit of structure as well of what the scheme or what the hotel will offer you. Now, the hotel in France have to follow a standard guidance from the Labor Department in France, where they have to give you a set amount of stipend. At the moment, it's 660 euro a month. Now, with this 660 euro a month, you get also, as mentioned earlier, a free of charge accommodations and also meals. Now, meals, it depends on the company. Most of the company will provide you at least 5 days of lunch and dinner. And some company might provide you 7 days of lunch and dinner. The reason I say 5 days minimum is because all the restaurant and hotel will open for 5 days a week and they close for 2 days a week. So if they close for 2 days a week, then if the chef is not around, you might need to cook for your own rather than, you know, go there and find there's no chef to cook for you. So that's how it works. Now, consequently, it also means that your working hours is actually for 5 days a week. Most of the cases, 99% of them work for 5 days a week. Of course, some hotels split the day off to 1 day and then half a day and half a day, you know, throughout the week. But you will get 2 days a week, a day off out of 7 days. Okay. Now, in terms of the transportations, when you get to France, well, you have to get the flight, of course, to either Paris or to Lyon, Geneva, depends on where your hotel located. We do have a travel agency who helped you with the flight ticket booking, because we will need to coordinate with you or with the travel agency to make sure that we have the owner or the hotel's managers or someone from the hotel to come and pick you up from the train station. So which means when you get to the airport, we will give you a guidance how to, well, beforehand, we give you a guidance how to travel from airport to the nearest train stations of the company. And then we will make sure someone is there to fetch you from the train stations rather than for you, you know, to travel on your own. Usually the staff accommodations between the hotel or the restaurant is very close. Now, when I say closed, it's obviously very personal opinions, isn't it? Somebody might think 5 minutes is quite far away, but to me, it's very, very close. So now, usually I tell the student the distance between the hotel and the staff accommodations, you would probably need to walk approximately 20 minutes, sometimes 25 minutes, okay? Now, it's quite a, you know, sort of common practice for people in Europe. They do walk a lot, and especially the area where you go to, they're unlikely to have buses, you know, running between the hotel and staff accommodation because of the short distance. And hence, as a result, we tell the students, be prepared that the accommodation may not just right next door. You might need you to walk a bit. But in a way, it also saves you a lot of, you know, cost in terms of spending the money on the, you know, public transportation to get to and to work. Okay. Now, Frederick, would you like me to add anything else?
Yeah, I think that I think I would just like to just chip in a little bit for the student's perspective, and then we'll move on to the next slide. Is that I just want to make the point here that when you look at this this kind of picture of France, we see actually a lot of diversity in the food. I don't know whether you might have learned this in your curriculum, but there's a lot of different local influences in the cuisine of the French food. So and it is very influenced by the local wines. So we have Burgundy, we've got brandy, we've got champagne, and the cuisine tends to integrate that kind of um, of food. So I just want to also just show you that diversity. There's also a lot of historical diversity as well. So we do have the Loire Valley, which is very famous for the chateaus or the castles, of course the south of France. Many of you would have known about Nice, for example, which is obviously a very coastal, very beach environment. We do have in the winter months, we have skiing in the Alps, and we have sent students into the ski resorts as well. And of course, maybe some other areas which you may not have come across, which is such as a Normandy, such as a Brittany. These are very influenced by the UK culture. So I just want to introduce you to that diversity there. People, if we can move on to the next slide, I think that would be really great. We can click on to the next slide. Can somebody, yeah, okay. So I just want to quickly go through this. Some up-to-date news for all you students, because you might be concerned about COVID and so on. But basically, France has opened its borders, has opened its economy. So everything has been resumed. It mentions cafes and restaurants have reopened. We have students in France at the moment from India that are busy like anything. So they are totally busy. Of course, precautions are there. PPE is there. Other words, masks, visors, sanitation, all this is there. So we don't sort of like slip on that. We keep that to a very high standard still in France. If we can move on to the next slide, please. We'll move quickly through the next slide. So this is just a confirmation from the Euronews that the external border of the European Union has been opened. Just to mention for some of the students that may be interested or parents, that we only need the French embassy to open, which will open by the end of August. We don't need the total border of India to open, because France and India have formed an air bubble. What that means is that there are flights daily from India to France, from France to India. So that is something which we do not need the whole of India to open up. We just need the French embassy to resume at the end of this month. And then you can fly to France. We are very actively placing our students in France at this current time. We move on to the next slide, if we can. Yeah, we can move on to the next slide because the UK is not that interesting for students. We move on to the next slide. Okay, great. I think Sue and Sunita, I think this moment would be really nice to talk about the student experience, maybe some student case studies, what they do, how their life is. So maybe Sue, you can take the leadership, and then Sunita follow through from your experiences. Students would find that, I think, quite informative.
Yes,
Yeah?
of course, of course.
Yeah.
Now, I guess once you come on board, it's very hard for you to say, look, I'm going to stay away from Sue, because what happened is we will actually almost, sort of handheld you from day one, just before you, once you get the visas, of course, we will actually make sure you know what to read upon, orientations, what to look out to, what to bring, and even down to how to break the ice with the owner, with the team, with the managers, bring a little gift, what to bring, how to say, all this in French. So we do help you quite a lot. And of course, we need to initiative to read up all the material that we send to you as well in the orientation and in the handbook. Now, all this will then set a very good foundations for you when you get to France, because in French culture, it's very much a human relationship. It's not all about like where you come from, what you do, what your background is. It's not really like that. It's more about how you actually get along with people when you got there. So to them, it doesn't matter you came from any, well, it doesn't matter you're rich or you're poor or anything. They're not interested in that. It's all about how you interact with them. So with our students, we do give them a lot of support. We do give them a lot of insight, the guidance as well. From the picture, you can see the students have actually shown, you know, they do get along very well with the team, and a lot of them, even on the top left corner, is actually the owner from a 2 Michelin star restaurant.
It's a free Michelin star. It's a free Michelin
three
star.
Michelin, sorry, yes, it's 3 Michelin star
George
restaurant. And yes, George Blanc, and he's the owner of the 3 Michelin star restaurant. He is the chef of the 3 Michelin star itself, actually. And in fact, he doesn't just own one restaurant. He actually owns majority of the shop, the pastry shops, the cafe, everything in that particular village itself. So in the Christmas time, he actually went to see all the staff, including our intern. The 2 interns came from India, one of our partners' school, and, you know, he gave them gift and wished them Happy Christmas, this sort of thing. So it's very personalized type. And of course, students, you know, have widened their network as well through the chef. You know, they got to know more chef in the industry, and it ultimately gives them a lot more, you know, sort of foundations. And they even introduce them to the chef in other countries as well, because it's a small network. Now, the picture on the right, again, this is another student who shared that with me, and they went to Umas, isn't it? So they went to, again, a 3 Michelin star restaurant, and they have, what do you call it, a huge sort of teams in that restaurant, where they came from, well, the intern and also the staff came from all over the world, from Russia, from China, of course, a lot of French people as well working there, from European country. So it's a very multicultural sort of environment when you get to France. It's not just 100%, you know, dealing with French only, but it's a very, very good stepping stone. So these are the pictures where all the students on the bottom left corner, you can see the working environment. It's a very professional kitchens. Everyone have to wear proper uniforms, and of course, there's a lot more YouTube or story that you can look up on George Blanc as a chef name. It's called George Blanc itself, and you can get more understandings about it. Okay.
Yeah, great. Sue, I think we'll move on to the next slide, because there's just some more student experiences.
Okay. Yeah.
So
no problem.
Yeah. So,
okay, this is my favorite. Snow Lodge. This is my favorite. The reason I say this is my favorite is because now this is a snow lodge. It's a ski resort. Quite close to, I would say, you probably know Mont Blanc, okay, a very famous brand for pants and luxury goods. So it's actually very close to Mont Blanc, okay, and it's a very high-end type of ski area, and lots of celebrities, lots of, you know, sort of famous people, they do go to that particular area for skiing. Now, the ski resort only really opened for short time of the year, usually from December to April. That is because they are weather conditioned. That, of course, they can only open when there's a snow. So in winter seasons, in that particular area, they're quite fortunate. Usually they have a lot of snow from December all the way to end of March, early April, sorry. So which means that the internship duration for ski resort usually lasts for 3 months. Okay, because of the duration of the resort itself that's opened. Now, the owner of the resort is on site. They also hire a team or manager to manage that as well. They're extremely friendly, because they do treat all our students like their own children. I mean, you can see, you know, even obviously it may not happen every day, but they even serve lobster as a staff meals during the first week when they arrive as a welcome meal to them. And that you can see, actually, they're really, really concerned about the welfare student, to make sure they feel comfortable. They understand you guys come from a long way. It's quite a shocking sort of experience if you came to France and suddenly, you know, it's all covered in snow and it's cold. So they do try their very best to make you guys feel welcome. Now, the good thing about the ski resort in this particular resort called Snow Lodge is every year they hire minimum of 20 interns from us. And they trust us, of course, so they trust us to select a candidate from them, for them. There's no interview required. And we also recruit the interns from other countries. So from the picture on the top, you can see the students from India, from China, from Thailand. You know, there are a mixture of students, interns from all over the world. to have this internship as ski resort. Now, of course, if the students wishes to take up other like activity, for example, learning how to ski. Now, for anyone who wants to take a ski package, you know, from overseas to go to the area, it's extremely expensive. But the resort, because they are located next to the ski, you know, sort of stations, so you guys can actually take up the ski training and all this at a fraction of the rate. Of course, it's not free of charge, but it's a fraction of the rate that you guys have to pay for. And so
I think Sue, I think we'll move on from Snow Lodge, actually, Sue.
Sure.
I think we've got enough.
I just want to add, the experience of ski resort is all-rounded, so they will need to put you, or you can actually learn the experience in cross-training, in F&B, housekeeping, and kitchen. So it's not set in just one area only, okay?
Yeah, so we'll move on to some others, and then I think Sunita will talk a little bit as well, Sue. Yeah?
Sure,
So,
sure.
we'll move on to the next slide. Okay.
I think this is a George Blanc I mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
the
Sue.
2 Michelin star restaurant. So we can move on.
Yeah, if we can move on to the next slide from this one.
Okay, Chateau d'Avenir. Would you like to do, or maybe Sunita, because there are some students there.
Sunita, have you got any students there, or? I don't think Sunita had any students.
No,
Sue.
no, not right now.
No, not right now. So Sue, I think you can talk about Chateau Avenir.
Okay, so I do have other students from a school that have went to Chateau d'Avenir. Actually, every year we send approximately 3 seasons of students to go there. So normally they take students for 6 months, okay? And Shittu Vineyard is a 5-star hotel, and they have a Michelin star restaurant in the hotel as well. And the environment is quite friendly because the staff do speak a bit of English. And it's actually located, again, quite close to Mont Blanc, so towards the Geneva side, towards Switzerland side. And they have a bit of history as well, because it's quite an old sort of historical chateaus, and there's a very interesting history behind. Now, the owner usually needs a student to work either in kitchen, housekeeping, or F&B, most likely in one particular department, because they want you to learn really, really well in the particular departments rather than move around too much. Now, they do open all year round, so which means in summer, in winters, in autumn time, the students can actually arrive without any restrictions. Okay, let me give you an example how well the students support how well the hotel support our students. Now, during unfortunately in March, you guys will know that France have announced a sudden lockdown, and hence as a result, we have offered the students who were at that resort at the time to either leave the hotel to go back to India or to stay. Now, the owner have very generous, and offered the student to stay as well with them. There's no work, of course, but the students still receive a minimal amount of stipends just to keep them going. They still receive food and accommodation free of charge, despite they are not working for 3 months. You know, that way you can see that the owner are really taking care of our students. They're not just seeing you as a number, but they do take care of the students like their own family. And of course, as soon as the resorts open again back early in June, then the students are back into full string of work and the full stipends again. Okay, so we do have students who give a lot of pictures, testimonial, and even willing for you guys to talk to them as well from this particular hotel. So if you want that, I can share with you later on if you need to speak to them.
Yeah. Students, I just want to share with you that many of these, I think we'll just pause for a while. Students, I just want to share with you, because I'm conscious of the time. We're up to about 36 minutes at the moment. So I just want to tell you that many of the establishments in France are owner-manager run, despite how big they are. Obviously, Chateau Avenir, you can see it's more like a castle, you know, but their owner is very actively hands-on and has been training the students and guiding the students. What's very important is that you do get proper guidance, support, and training, as well as accommodation, meals, and a paid stipend. So obviously, you know, we run programs from 3 to 6 months. So you will be able to recover your expenses and time here. I just want to bring in Sunita. Maybe Sunita, you can share some of your experiences of your students. I know we've gone into profile some of the hotels here, but maybe you can share some of your side of things.
Yes, just to add on to what Sue has been talking about the support, as I mentioned on 11th also when I spoke to you all, right from the day that you sign up with us, we handhold you. We have a travel agent here who will book your ticket, etc., fix your visa appointment. Once you reach France, once all the paperwork is over and everything, once you reach France, then you be in touch with Sue for any issues, for if you're facing any issues at all. Like Sue just now mentioned, when the lockdown happened in France, we spoke to each and every student who was there to find out if they wanted to come back or stay there in France itself. So those who wanted to come back, the travel agent helped them with the ticket and everything. Those who wanted to stay back, then Sue engaged with each and every hotel to confirm that they would continue to provide free accommodation and meals till the time the hotels reopened. Once the hotels reopened in June, the students have again started working, and some of them, because due to this pandemic lockdown, some of them were able to get their visa extended to make sure that they finish 6 months of work. So we still have some students over there who will be working till the end of August or maybe beyond that before they come back. So one of the students that day, it was mentioned that that student was keen to sort of do culinary. Somebody who had signed up for that with Servo. So I just want to mention that, as I had mentioned on 11th, that we work with restaurants which are Michelin star restaurants. And the chef who's actually got that Michelin star would be working with the student on a day-to-day basis, guiding them on how to turn out various cuisines, etc. So for somebody who's keen to work in kitchen, France is one of the best places, and we'll ensure that we offer you a Michelin star restaurant for you to work in. Frederick, over to you now.
Yes, sorry, thank you, Sunita. Students, the idea here is that you really get a proper grounding in the real world of the hospitality industry at the highest level. Obviously, cuisine, you know, the whole food production area, I think you may call it, is a very key part of French culture. An earlier slide was showing that, you know, cafe life has resumed, restaurants resumed. It's a very, very important part of the French lifestyle. And of course, you know from your studies that the cuisine is of the highest standard. The Michelin ranking is basically very difficult to get. It's an auditable process and is based upon the innovation in the food area. So you will be learning from the highest standards. It will take some time for you to adjust from where you are now in India to going over to France. Hence, the support that we provide you is very, very key. It's not just getting you there, getting you a placement. It's about supporting you in this process. Most of our students are in contact with us when they are in the country, and we guide them on any of their questions they may have, any of the requirements. And we also work with the hotels as well. It may not be seen so obviously from your side, but we also work with the hotels on giving them a mentoring and support as well. We have a good track record from India. So you are not the first batches of students going out. You may be even the 10th batch of students going out. So that we have a very good track record in understanding what you need to do from where you are to get to France. We do have, and I think it's not been mentioned so far, we do have visa support in India, which means that any documentation that you need for the French embassy, for the VAF processing center, visa processing center, you'll be guided from an Indian side. So we have an Indian visa representative who is a VAF approved and also a travel agent as well. It's not like that you can obviously go online and book flights and so on, but it has to be with the right modalities. We had some students in the past book the flights online with a little bit cheaper, but then later they had to find it was more costly because they booked the wrong tickets. and to make the correction was costing more money. So we have a visa agent in India. Obviously, he can speak Hindi, he can speak local dialect, will guide you in this process. We also have Sunita, who you've also had an interaction with so far, either in person or online. She will be able to guide you from the Indian perspective as well, to deal with your queries, your parents' queries, your school queries as well. So this is not just something which is remote and distant, it's with a local Indian component as well. It is a paid program, so you will earn 660 euros a month over a 6-month period, and you will have accommodation and meals. So your expenses should be very recoverable and should be very modest. It does depend on personal habits. So obviously somebody likes to party, likes to drink champagne every day, it's not going to work out, but it is on personal habits. As I mentioned, the diversity of host employers is very strong for you in France. Obviously, we've got many properties that we work with. We have over 3,000 properties on our database. But I think for most of our students, there are key things that they are learning. They're learning things which match their studies from the hospitality field. They're learning about the real world of working in a team of diverse nationalities, working under pressure. They're learning about all these things. It's not like that you've got all the time in the world. You work to an objective. You work with a time objective. They've also learned independent living skills. So they've lived in a French community. They've learned a bit of a language. They've mixed with other nationalities. So it's independent learning skills, living skills, which are very important for their future as well. We have had students being offered jobs in France because they've performed outstandingly. We don't promise that, but it's something that may come as a result of good performance. And again, it's something that we can't promise, but it's something that shows that students have adapted in that environment. You also get an opportunity to travel and to make friends. So the fun aspect of it is very important. The pictures that we showed you from the earlier hotels with students from India show a fun component. They go out, they travel, they see parts of France, they see bits of Europe, they make friends, and it's an enjoyment. Most of our students from all around the world come back wanting to go back to France or to go abroad. They've got the bug to go abroad. So they've gained also, I think parents and schools have said the students have matured. So they've gained a self-confidence, a knowledge about themselves, some skill sets. Of course, they've gained something financially, and they've also gained some knowledge about the sector as well. So some of our students then go on to programs abroad, like the US, like Australia, like the Middle East. So the world is the oyster. It's only a start of your career, which is the foundation of it. So going abroad is a chance for you to develop those insights and skills. We can guide you through the whole process of documentations and so on. So we're up to 45 minutes now, and I don't want to take too much of your time. But if there are any questions, Vipul, if there are any questions from students, faculty members, we can take the questions now. And of course, we can help with the presentation and in future interactions as well. So students, do you have any questions? Faculty, do you have any questions for us?
No, sir, not for yet.
Okay, thank you so much, Frederick, for the presentation information on the internship program. Okay, just wanted to know everyone also, there would be different ample opportunities for all of you. This was one, right? And the interested students, our training and placement cell will guide you forward how to proceed with the internship, international internship. So one question, Frederick, there was one of the students who asked, sir, what about the front office? Do we have any, how do people go about for front office? What challenges the person faces? And
okay, sure. I can of course ask Sue and Sunita as well, but my first reply is that if we don't generally do front office in France, the major reason is because of language skills. We do have no problems in students going into the kitchen and gradually into the restaurants and housekeeping, but in front office, the local knowledge, the language skill side is a challenge. Unless you happen to be very proficient in the French language, which I know some students may be, but it's generally speaking quite a challenge. So I don't know, Sue, you want to chip into that? You want to add to that comment?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we do have hotel and owner who have come back to us and say we need a front office intern, but they always come with a condition. Because of front office, you know, when the guests approach you, you can't really say, hang on a second, I don't speak French, let me get someone to, you know, help you. It's really not possible. And hence, they always come with the conditions that they need someone with a proficiency in French language. Now, like Frederick said, if you happen to have proficiency level in French, then by all means, let us know or give us a certificate to prove that, then we can actually help you to get the front office side.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Any other question, students? If you have certain questions. I mean, these are like fresh students, just 4 days old.
Okay.
So we'll let them study the course, and then we'll decide their career. I mean, they'll decide their department, and then we'll proceed further for the international internship again.
Yeah. I think people you mentioned on also the on our communications that the students will go out in, I think, April time. Is that right? Is that
right? Around April, May, right?
Around April, May. So that's a really great time for you to go abroad, and particularly into Europe. Firstly, that would be a little bit beyond where we are currently with this pandemic and so on. But also in April, you have plenty of time to get your paperwork sorted out now, documentations, you know,
Yep.
go through the consultation process. But also April is a good seasonal thing because this is Easter time. Of course, there are two major festivals. I mean, festivals are everywhere, aren't they? So we have two festivals mainly in Europe, which are very key, which is the Christmas festival and the Easter festival. You know, there may be some others like New Year and so on, but mainly we are talking about these. So usually in April, that would be the pickup of the seasons in mainland Europe. And the weather will be very good. The weather actually in France is very warm now, actually. We are over 35 degrees centigrade now. I mean, even in the UK, we're having unseasonable weather. We're over 35 degrees centigrade now. So this is not too cold. It's obviously more gentler for you and coming from a hotter country.
Yeah.
And there will be a great opportunity. The season will be also a bit busier because winter season is a little quieter, but then April onwards will be a busier season, and you'll be going into the summer as well. And it's a very, very popular program as well for us.
That's right. I think out of all 4 seasons, April, you know, it's spring. So spring coming to April, March, April, May towards June as well. So it's one of my favorite seasons because the weather has become much nicer. It's not too cold. It's not too hot. Flowers everywhere, and people are getting also more excited because after the long winter season, they're more outgoing. They want to get out more. So the whole thing become quite booming, quite active, and quite nice sort of vibes there in France. And like Frederick says, it's Easter, so it's going to be very, very busy with all the holidays, travelers as well. And because if you're going for 6 months, or I assume that you're going for 6 months, then of course, if you go in April, you will then cross into the summer month. Now, summer it's fantastic, I would say, in France, because you have a very long daylight. You know, it gets bright at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it doesn't get dark until like 10:30 in the evening. So you've got more time to get out, to travel, and so on as well. So it's a very good time. And in summer, of course, nowadays with unseasonable weather, I cannot say it's not going to get too hot or what, but usually summer in France, it's quite dry usually, and the temperature can be anything from 25 to 30 degrees. Sometimes we have a heat wave, but that's, again, depends on the weather. But it's a very nice season to be in France.
I would also add, since students, you've just started the course and so on, that we actually have very, very few visa refusals. This really does not happen for us in any significant way, particularly if you are guided by us from the beginning in the process. We wouldn't normally put my visa agent would not put an application in with incomplete information. The only thing that can go wrong is that if you didn't do it on the day. So if you tell you like 5 things and you do only 2 things on the day, then of course that can be a bit of a stress. Yeah. So if you listen to us, follow our guidances, you shouldn't happen into those visa risk areas. Vipul has, of course, some experience with us, and we've had no visa refusals. You have to start the process a little earlier. So although we're looking at April, we would say that you need a good 4 months plus in advance.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, it's a mixed batch because of the orientation program. So there are students who are doing diploma, 1-year diploma. There are students who are doing 3-year degree course.
Okay.
So all the students are like of mixed batch. The batch is a mixed
Sure.
component, right?
Okay, great. So, I mean, we do just to also mention there, we do place throughout the year as well. So every month there are students going out abroad. It's not like one season dominates. We are taking students throughout the year as well. And we are also taking graduating students which are finishing, but they have to contact us before they finish, so that we can ensure the paperwork is current and updated. All that we can guide. Sunita is there in India. We also have the visa agent in India as well. And of course, we are in communication. Your school and I are in communication. It's kind of like a very connected world now. So it's, of course, Zoom is there as well, you know. So all that is there for that. But I'll just say for the key benefits, just to leave you with the thoughts. First, it's a paid program. You get
Right.
accommodation and meals.
Right.
You get
So,
accommodation and meals.
G.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and students
please go.
are in hospitality sector would find that France is top notch in cuisine and is a very good experience for traveling in mainland Europe as well. So these are some key things that I want you to maybe leave you with to consider.
There's one thing I want to add. It's also the internship visa we got for you usually lasts, if it's in for 6 months, then they usually last for 7 months. And the same visas, you can use it to travel to all the 20, I think it's 27 or 22 Schengen country, including Switzerland, Italy, you know, Spain, Germany, Iceland. All these are under Schengen countries that you can actually travel to those places on holiday. Okay, not for work, but on holiday. And our students have actually, many of them took the opportunity to do that.
Yeah. The other thing which may be useful, Vipul, is that basically we have students that sometimes want to go back to the country as well to continue maybe another program abroad. That is possible with France. We can obviously, it just needs to be justified, you know, in terms of their studies. If they escalate another year or they do something more advanced, we can return them back into the same country as well. So it's not like a once and for all arrangement as well. So that's possible. We also do have some insights also. It's not necessarily as big as France in our connections, but we have sent students to the Maldives, to the UAE, to the US under degree program. And of course, for alumni, we sent to Australia as well. So these programs, we might wish to explain more details if there's such a request for that. We can also open up a discussion for those countries, and also Thailand as well. We have been sending students to Thailand from India. So students, I'm just coming up to 55 minutes now. If there are any questions that you have, any further questions that we can deal with since we're all here?
All right.
Okay, Sue and Sunita, are there any points that you would like to make, any more additional things that you would like to share?
Nothing from my side, Frederick.
Okay, not to worry.
I think it's all good. We are all sorted. The students
Okay,
are all
yeah, I think
right. So we have ample opportunities for the internship and for the placement. And we'll see you soon, Mr. Frederick, Ms. Sunita, and Ms. Sue soon for the further communications.
Thank you very much, people. Thank you, students.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye. You too.